Blog Talk Radio.
Well, good Saturday morning, everyone. This is Linda in sunny Buffalo, a kind of cloudy Buffalo. And this is our Saturday morning weekend review, just a half-hour little wrap-up of the week. And I'm looking forward to the following week. This is the Optimize Your Life show brought to you by the Hope Collection. And we are glad that you're listening in on this Saturday morning or whenever you're listening, because these calls are archived. And so I just want to welcome you in. We are broadcasting out of Buffalo, New York, which is just 20 minutes from the Canadian border. And everyone thinks of New York and think of New York City. We're 8 hours away. We're at the other side of the state from New York City. We're actually closer to Toronto than New York. But that just gives you a little idea of where we are. And in Buffalo, we have had no snow. I know there's a storm in the rest of the country, and even south of Buffalo, quite a ways south of Buffalo, they've had a little snow. But we've broken a record because previously, yesterday was the longest, the latest, or that earliest that we've had snow in Buffalo, and we've had no snow, so which is really good. Even though I'm living in the snow belt, really don't appreciate having too much snow. So, but this coming Thursday is Thanksgiving in the U.S. And I found a really neat article all about the history and some of the fun trivia about Thanksgiving. I know our Canadian friends, their Thanksgiving actually is in October, but Thanksgiving here is in November, and I will explain why, because of this great article that I found. So, but Thanksgiving, now it may be America's most beloved national holiday, but its history is all over the place. Even the details of the famous feast between the Plymouth colony settlers in New England and I don't know if I'll pronounce this right, Wampanoag Native Americans in November of 1621 are kind of sketchy. The best account we have is a letter from an English settler, Edward Winslow, that never mentions the word Thanksgiving, but tells of a week-long harvest celebration that included a 3-day celebration with King Massasoit, Massasoit, and 90 Wampanoag men, so that we may, this is his quote, so we might, after a more special manner, rejoice together. So over the centuries, that briefly mentioned Feast Week has taken on a life of its own, with each generation adding its own take on the fall tradition. Journalist Dave Roos put together some little-known trivia so that we may have something to talk about around the Thanksgiving dinner table this week. So colonists and the Wampanoag tribe shared an autumn harvest feast in 1621 in Plymouth, Massachusetts, that is widely acknowledged as one of the first Thanksgiving celebrations. Now, the Thanksgiving meal in Plymouth probably had little in common with today's traditional holiday spread. Although turkeys were indigenous, there's no record of a big roasted bird at the feast. So Indians, I'll call them Indians, Native Americans, only because I cannot mispronounce their names so many times. They brought deer, and there would have been lots of local seafood, mussels, lobster, bass, plus the fruits of the first pilgrim harvest, including pumpkins. No mashed potatoes, though. Potatoes had only been recently shipped back to Europe from South America. How about that? America first called for a national day of Thanksgiving to celebrate victory over the British in the Battle of Saratoga. In 1789, George Washington again called for a National Day of Thanks on the last Thursday of November to commemorate the end of the Revolutionary War and the ratification of the Constitution. And during the Civil War, both the Confederacy and the Union issued Thanksgiving Day proclamations following major victories. Now, the first, let's see who's joining us. Manage. Good morning. I'm glad you joined us. I'm talking about the history of Thanksgiving, since Thanksgiving is coming up this week. And I found a really interesting article about all kinds of neat information on, on Thanksgiving. And let's see here, where was I? The first official proclamation of a national Thanksgiving holiday didn't come until 1863, when President Abraham Lincoln called for an annual Thanksgiving celebration on the final Thursday in November. So even though the first Thanksgiving, if we kind of put that in quotes, because it was never really called Thanksgiving back in 1621, although Thanksgiving, of course, is the way of course, giving thanks for all the bounty that we enjoy. But I thought that was interesting that there was no mashed potatoes, because potatoes had only recently been shipped back to Europe from South America. So, and pumpkin pie was a staple in New England Thanksgiving tables as far back as the turn of the 18th century. Legend has it that the Connecticut town of Colchester postponed its Thanksgiving feast for a week in 1705 due to a molasses shortage, and there could simply be no Thanksgiving without pumpkin pie. Now, Ron, I noticed that you had sent me a recipe for an impossible pumpkin pie. So we have a lot of noise in the background. I'm going to mute.
Impossible. I love the impossible Thanksgiving pie. My mom used to know when she discovered and when she got the recipe for it. And if I remember correctly, my Aunt Irene, who was my wife of my mom's brother, and it's family stuff, but she gave it to Mom because she was always showing Mom different things. My mother was a terrible cook. I was lucky when I married you. I weighed 120 pounds, and I was 6'2" tall, as skinny as a rail. Part of it had to do with the fact that I loved my mom, but she was the worst cook in the world. At Thanksgiving, when we would have it, Mom would say, family Thanksgiving at their house, my older sister wouldn't come unless she brought the bottle of gravy, because everything my mom cooked, especially the turkey, was dried out. She even dried out a turkey. You get a butterball, you dry out a turkey. Mom would do it. So Kathy, we always used to laugh because Kathy wouldn't come without bringing a jar of gravy. And so there's certain traditions and things in our household that bring back such fond memories. But, I think the idea even more, and I think, we are in a new season of, I think, an incredible opportunity for us to express the gratefulness and appreciation. It's being humble to realize how much blessings. If you live in America, if you were born here, you're only 6% of all the people that are on the face of the earth that were blessed to be here. And we are known as the greatest country that's ever developed in the whole history of mankind. And so I'm proud and I'm humbled to realize and acknowledge that Thanksgiving as a holiday and as an individual, as a resident, as a citizen, I just know right now as you walk around, I just ask everybody, take a little survey And as you go out today, this is a weekend, so a lot of people are probably going to be out shopping and things. Weekends maybe is when you go grocery shopping. Take a look and you don't see a sort of an air of a higher level of joy, a higher level of optimism, a higher atmosphere of peace in people's spirit. And I believe because we just came off a national election where across the country, they showed a map of people that decided to vote for a gentleman who was representing a change going forward and to restoring the American dream, committed to helping each of us be able to prosper. And people are happy, they're joyful. And I think this timing right now and this being this holiday is going to give us a chance for the first time in many years to really come into the week and the holiday season with a renewed heart and a renewed commitment to touching lives. And as Glenn Kane would say, our friend from Golden Rule Society always says, let's make it a better world. And that's all about being grateful. So that's my message today as we approach Thanksgiving.
Well, thank you. And hello, Bob. I see that you have joined us.
Hi, Linda and Ron. How you guys doing?
Good morning.
Wonderful.
Hi, Bob.
Good morning. We have so much to be thankful for in this country, and I know that with the new administration, when they come in January, things are gonna get even better. And we have so many friends and so many relatives and so many people that we celebrate with, and that we are thankful for, that the good Lord has given us, and He's given us so much. And we, I think Thanksgiving is just a wonderful commemoration for us to be thankful to the Lord and for all the things that He gives us, and all the blessings that we receive every day, not only on Thanksgiving Day but every day. And so I'm just proud to be part of it, and proud to be here, to be able to say thank you, God, for everything you do, and thank you, Jesus, for all the blessings that you give us. He died for us, and He died for our salvation, and so we need to be thankful for that. And we need to give Him the credit for everything that we accomplish in our lives, because He is our leader, and He is in control. And so I'm thankful for being associated with you guys, because you're always giving and always loving and always caring. And so thank you for that, and God bless you both. And like Glenn Kane, also just a wonderful servant leader. And so I just am so thankful to be part of that, to be able to help people and help them to move forward in their Lords. So anyway, God bless you guys.
Well, thanks. There's so many traditions around Thanksgiving, traditional food, and it varies so much by location, because our country is such a huge country, and there's different. But a lot of the things, like I was just talking about, that up in Connecticut, that they had to postpone Thanksgiving because there's no Thanksgiving without pumpkin pie. But it's funny when you think about the traditional food. Now, cranberries were eaten by Native Americans and used as a potent red dye, but sweetened cranberry relish, like we are used to, certainly was not on the first Thanksgiving table. The Pilgrims had long exhausted their sugar supply by November of 1621, but this is fun. Marcus Uran canned the first jellied cranberry sauce in 1912 and eventually founded the Cranberry Growers Cooperative known as Ocean Spray. Isn't that funny? That we're so used to the And around 1912, that's when they really got the the manufacturing of canned goods going. And so, they were finding things to fill the cans since they had gotten those down to a manufacturing. This was fun. In 1953, oh my gosh, the year I was born, in 1953, an employer at C.A. Swanson & Sons overestimated demand for Thanksgiving turkey, and the company was left with 260 tons of extra frozen birds. As a solution, a Swanson salesman ordered 5,000 aluminum trays, divided turkey meal, and recruited an assembly line of workers to compile what would become the food. And a culinary hit was born. In the first full year of production in 1954, the company sold 10 million turkey TV dinners.
Wow.
Because, I can see overestimating, but how much you buy, but by 260, what was it? 260 tons of frozen turkeys. So the other thing is, again, talking about traditions, a winning combo of football and Thanksgiving kicked off way before there was anything called the NFL. The first Thanksgiving football game was a college match between Yale and Princeton in 1876, only 13 years after Lincoln made Thanksgiving a national holiday. Soon after, Thanksgiving was picked for the date of the college football championship. By the 1890s, thousands of college and high school football rivalries were played every Thanksgiving. And in Buffalo, I can't remember which teams run. I want to say Burgard, but there's always a big high school football game here, even in Buffalo, every Thanksgiving, besides the ones that are televised. And then starting in the 1940s, farmers would gift the president with some plump birds for roast turkey over the holidays, which the first family would invariably eat. While President John F. Kennedy was the first American president to spare a turkey's life, the annual White House tradition, hardening turkey, officially started with George H.W. Bush in 1989. I always thought that was like some long-standing tradition, but really it was just in 1989. Okay, and this is something that we always still look forward to. To celebrate the expansion of its Herald Square superstore, Macy's announced its very first big Christmas parade 2 weeks before Thanksgiving in 1924, promising magnificent floats, bands, and an animal circus. It was a huge success. Macy's trimmed the parade route from 6 miles to 2 miles and signed a TV contract with NBC to broadcast the now famous Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And we always call it the Macy's Day Parade. It's the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. But can you imagine, the original was 6 miles long, now it's just 2 miles. And the first oversized balloons debuted in the Macy's Parade in 1927, the brainchild of Anthony Sarg, a German-born puppeteer and theatrical designer who also created Macy's fantastic Christmas windows displays. The first balloons were filled with oxygen, not helium. That year they featured Felix the cat and inflated animals like elephants, tigers, and a giant hummingbird. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade was held annually every year until World War II, when it was canceled from 42 to 44 due to helium and rubber shortages. But it's come back, of course. For several years, Macy's simply released the balloons, which now cost around $200,000 to make and nearly $100,000 a year to maintain. They released them into the air after the parade ended. And in 1928, there was a race to recover them because the company offered a $100 reward. Can you imagine these helium balloons, huge helium balloons, just being left to land wherever. Tug-of-war fights broke out. Is that the first Black Friday, perhaps? And the practice was ended in 1932 after a student pilot nearly crashed her plane in an effort to retrieve a balloon in midair. And now this was funny. Concerned that the Christmas shopping season was cut short by a late Thanksgiving, President Franklin D. Roosevelt decreed in 1939 that Thanksgiving would be celebrated a week earlier. Thanksgiving, as it was known, was decried by Thanksgiving traditionalists and political rivals. One even compared FDR to Hitler. Does this sound familiar, calling your opponents Hitler? And was only adopted by 23 of the 48 states. Congress officially moved Thanksgiving back to the fourth Thursday of November in 1941, where it's remained ever since. But I thought and I'll end with this. We always associate, for most of everyone, turkey with Thanksgiving. And wild turkey was an important traditional food source for the Aztecs. I always wondered why it was called turkey. This explains it. When the Spanish invaders took the bird back to the market in Spain, traders took the bird into what was then the world's most powerful empire, the Ottoman Empire, which is Turkey. There, the bird was bred to become plumper like turkeys most of us eat on Thanksgiving. So how's this for? It's the turkeys was a food source for the Aztecs. The Spanish invaders took the bird back to Spain. The traders from Turkey bred the turkeys so they're more plumper, like the turkey that we're used to seeing on our table, and so that's how they got to be called turkeys. Isn't that, it's just a crazy way of a circular way to say it. We have a lot of wild turkeys in our area.
I was just going to say that, Linda. We have a whole herd of turkey. What do they call a bunch of turkeys?
Lots of turkeys.
Flock,
yes,
okay. We have, and what's
yeah.
funny, when they decide to cross the road, Middle Springs around the corner from our house, they literally stop traffic. And they just strut across the road, and it's like they like proudly walk. And of course, not around Thanksgiving. They have a sense of the holiday because they disappear. Yeah, but it's so funny. And we live in the city.
But the wild turkeys are really quite different than the farm-bred turkeys. The wild turkeys do not have the big the amount of meat on them that you when you think of a turkey dinner, you think of the big plump turkeys. The turkeys we have around here are by no means scrawny. There are huge birds, but they are not. They are the wild turkeys.
Well, they're fed really well in our neighborhood. We have people that both the deer and the turkeys. People actually put out food for the animals.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a lot of turkeys here in New Jersey. They're called politicians.
Oh. It's so funny because we are in the city. We're like probably 6 blocks from West Seneca. We're in South Buffalo, but we still are in the city, and to have so much wildlife, it's just amazing. To have such huge deer just walking down our street. We came home from church one time, so it's midday, and here's this huge buck just walking slowly down the middle of the street. We had to slow down to like 10 miles an hour. they're just so used to people that they don't even, most times just shy away from everyone. But it really is neat. But I thought, today with Thanksgiving just being, this week, just find some interesting things about Thanksgiving. And, it's just the traditional foods that we enjoy. And it varies so much from region to region. We're in the, Northeast, so we're just used to a lot of the, what we consider the traditional food. That's what I should have looked. People in the Southwest, if they have all the same food, the pumpkin pies and things like that you kind of think about as a northern food. And of course, America being such a melting pot of people from all over the world that have made become Americans. So there's different traditions within each family. So I thought that was just a really, so embrace your family traditions and just enjoy each other's company. And so now, instead of just talking about politics or football, now you can say, did you know that the first Thanksgiving they probably had deer and mussels and lobster instead of pumpkin pie and turkey. So so I gave you some information for to talk to share with people about how I thought it was interesting too that no mashed potatoes, because potatoes had only recently been shipped back to Europe from South America. So there's even our traditional food has come from all over the country. So not all over the country, all over the world. So that's really neat.
Yeah, in my new family here now with my Spanish wife, we have a lot of South American traditions from Colombia, South America, and other countries in South America, and so whenever anybody comes over, I tell them, look, we're gonna eat a traditional Spanish a Spanish meal, and so. Yeah, and it's really good. It's good to change our diet sometimes, so that we have things that taste different and taste better sometimes. Sure.
Yeah, I think with every traditional meal, I put that in quotes. We have 90 seconds. With every and that's the beauty of America. It's not just one country, like, people, Italians, everyone's Italian, and in Spain, everyone's Spanish, and, in the United States, we're United States, we're united people from all over the world, and so our traditions sometimes aren't traditional, which I love, so... Well, with that, I'm going to wrap up today. And don't forget, Monday through Friday. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we had in my family, when we were living on a farm, we ate a lot of German food, because my mother's family was from Germany, and they my grandmother used to make German foods, and she would cook German strudel, and that was so good.
Yes.
And, my grandmother was a great cook, but my mom was not a great cook. Like Ronnie said, his mom was not a good cook. Mine wasn't either, but my grandmother was, and she lived with us for about 5 years. And whenever we went to her home, her and her husband my grandfather, we'd always get German food when we went over there.
Sure.
So we got a mixture of food in our lives.
Yes, and I think every family has, which is really so. Keep those traditions alive in your family, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And we are just about out of time, so have a wonderful weekend, and listen in Monday through Friday from noon to 1 Eastern time, and have we're out of time. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
You too, Linda and Ron, guys. We love you guys. Take care. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Bye-bye.